Morning, guys. You know, about a century ago, one of the ways people were entertained was through the radios, mostly through radio programs. And depending on how you know about this, whether you research it online or you watch movies or even shows that take place during this time period, which was the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, you kind of get an idea of how a lot of people, a majority of America, a majority of the world at times, but mostly America, was entertained. It was through the radio. And one of the things that was very popular, one of the genres that was very popular was radio dramas. Well, it seems that radio dramas are still going on to this day, and it seems they have a resurgence because of that. But one of the things that's really become popular and come out of the whole resurgence of radio dramas and all that is the audio dramas or the comic book dramas. These are basically genres, if you will, that are very similar to the radio drama. The only difference is the comic book drama is when regular people come together, regular fans like you and I, come together and apply all our talents to bring a certain story to life. You know, whether it's an issue of Batman, that's a multi-story story arc, or it's an issue of Superman, it's also a multi-issue story arc, or whatever, we come together because we want to see it be brought to life. Because we're unsure whether or not it's going to get, let's say, some kind of adaptation in the future. Because like I said, we're unsure whether or not it's going to get an adaptation of some kind in the future. But when it comes to the audio drama portion of this genre, that's what's really kind of seen a big surgence, if not resurgence, in the past couple of years, if not the past decade. The reason I say that is there is a multitude, if not thousands, if not millions, of fan fiction stories out there based on all kinds of media that sometimes people will read and they will give critical acclaim and praise to for being so good. You know, for capturing the spirit of the very show or the very franchise that it's based, that the fan fiction story is based upon. Some of the more well-renowned stories out there that could have gotten, if not have gotten, some kind of treatment in that way are stories like the fan fiction story and webcomic of Mice and Mayhem. It's been considered, and I think it's partially been given an audio drama or an audio drama adaptation. Another one is there are several, I should say, Sonic ones out there. There are several Disney ones, Disney Afternoon and Disney stories based on like Disney princesses and all that. There have been several fan fiction stories like based around Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and all that have also gotten this kind of treatment in some shape or form. But the one that I think has really done probably the best job so far, and I did a video on this, was the one that was done by Disney Fanatic. Disney Fanatic brought a lot of people together and basically brought her fan fiction stories, Bride of Discord and Daughter of Discord, to life. And when you listen to these audio dramas here on YouTube, you will get a good idea. You will get a good idea of why audio dramas are so popular now. Why people nowadays like to prefer, I should say, to have an audible version of a story available for them to listen to, because, well, sometimes they don't have the time to read the story or read the book themselves, and listening to it gives them the same, gives them more time to really immerse themselves in the book or in that story. If it's if it's some kind of audio or audible, as it's called, that's based, there's basically an audible adaptation of a storybook or a novelization, like, let's say, 50 Shades of Grey. What else is there? The Lord of the Rings trilogy, whatever. People would rather have those kind of adaptations, those kind of versions available, because most times, like I said, they don't have the time to sit down in today's society and read a good book. That's why you have that Audible available. And it's because of things like Audible and other versions of books, storybooks or learning books or whatever, that, or how-to books or know-how books and all that. It's because of these Audible and other audio adaptations or versions of these books that audio dramas and comic book dramas have become so popular. And it's had that resurgence. Another thing about audio dramas that puts them slightly above comic book dramas is, like I said, they're mostly based off original stories, original fan fiction that fans have created. So when Disney Fanatic did her Discord series, obviously she saw the opportunity to bring what many were proclaiming to be a very good story overall between both stories. She saw an opportunity to bring it to life, and that's why she was able to gather certain people like Thespio, Del Wilsonator, Katie Patterson, aka Midnight Sonata, Keyframe, aka Cosmic Keyframe, Brony Master 44, and many others. And like I said, many others together to not only vocally bring these characters and bring these stories to life, but also contribute their other abilities, like their artistic abilities, their musical abilities, and stuff like that. And to say that when you listen to something when you listen to stories like the Discord stories that are brought, being brought to life the way they were, again, it's like I said in my video talking about both of them, it shows you that the fandom will not end. It will not die. It's not going anywhere. The same, like I said, the same as I was trying to say can be said for other fandoms. You think Star Wars versus the Forces of Evil, just because it's over, do you think fans are going to stop making stories of it, creating fan fictions, web comics, maybe even trying to do audio dramas based around it? No, they're not going to stop. They're going to continue doing more because a lot of fans want to see the story continue. Look at Game of Thrones. A lot of fans are petitioning for it to be rewritten, mostly season 8. And what are a lot of fans going to do? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to rewrite the final season themselves, and they might even do audio dramas or even fan films based on what they felt should have been the final season. You see, it doesn't matter, what you're a fan of. If you have the passion to continue to keep that legacy of that franchise alive, then that's all that matters. And when I look at what audio dramas have done, and what these audio dramas do for these fan fiction stories. When people and fans go those routes, or when they go the routes and bring issues of comic books or story arcs, that are based out of comic books, based around certain issues. When I see people putting the effort to bring those to life, those very stories to life, if you will, then it shows you that they have a passion and a drive to want to keep those franchises going in some shape, form, or fashion. In their minds, they'll also, in my personal opinion, it's basically like in their minds, they do this, not only does it show the love and the dedication that they have for the fandom, or for the franchise and for these characters, but it also in their mind sends a message to the people behind the franchise, like, hey, if we could do this, why can't you keep the show alive? Or why can't you do something just like this, kind of identical to it? So, to me, when I look at this resurgence in popularity of audio dramas and comic book dramas, audio dramas of comic book issues, and like I said, audio dramas of fan fiction stories based on franchises, it just, to me, shows that like I said earlier, the fandom, the fan base is not going to give up on the series, not going to give up on these characters. No matter what incarnation you get in the future, they're never going to give up on them. They're always going to keep this portion alive in some shape, form, or fashion. But anyway, I just thought I'd come on here, and I know it sounded like I blabbed a little bit because, of course, I have cars coming about and everything, and kids are walking around getting ready to go to school. So I'm sorry if I sounded like I blabbed a little bit, but I just wanted to come on here and give you my thoughts on why these audio dramas based around fan fiction, these audio drama adaptations of fan fiction stories and comic book issues have become so popular and have gotten a resurgence in recent years, if not the past decade. So let me know what you guys all think down below. Your thoughts on these audio dramas and comic book dramas, kind of getting this new lease on life in the past decade or past few years. And I will talk to y'all later.